morning, everybody. I'm just wondering if you have ever done anything that you felt like really kind of screwed up your kids, assuming you have kids. I can remember doing a few things that I'm really kind of not happy about. Like one, for example, is my kids were both really very creative. And I can remember just trying to stomp on that as much as I could because I didn't want them to deal with the mess. I mean, and a lot of times when they say, like one of them wanted to build a hover car or something like that, and like a hot air balloon, and so that meant that I or my husband and I had to come up with how to do it, and we didn't know how to do it, and we didn't even want to spend all the time on it, but they just want to do it. So I know I stomped on it a lot, and I felt really bad about that. And like one time, not one time, but a lot of times they wanted to do what we called fun dough. It was like Play-Doh, but it has a lot of flour in it, so it really makes a mess in the kitchen. So here we are in this house. We've been in this house for 50 years. I would have to get, for 2 weeks, I had to get mentally prepared to let them do a fun dough day. And finally, I would get all ready, and I would lay a sheet down in the kitchen floor and put their little card table on it, and they just made an absolute mess, flour everywhere. I felt like it was a very Montessori moment, and I was pleased I could do that. But it would really take a long time for me to be willing to let that happen. So later on, I was, doing all this processing stuff you do or talking to people about it. I really felt guilty about that. And then this person said, well, are your kids still really creative? And I said, oh, yeah, they're very creative. And they said, well, they had to get past you because you kept trying to stop it and they didn't let you stop it. So they pressed on with what they knew they were supposed to do, and they're still creative in spite of you. So that made me feel better. I was just playing my little role and seeing if I could stop them, and they wouldn't let me do that. So then there's other times that some kind of event will happen in their childhood, and you think it's going to damage them for life. And I know one time my older son, Tim, he smarted off to me, and my husband got so upset. And there was one where he had a big great room, and he had the couch in the middle of the room. And so Tim starts going down the hallway, and Ed jumps over the couch and starts chasing him down the hallway and saying, and then so Tim shut his door, and Ed just kicked the door in. This is my calm, gentle husband. He wasn't at that time. But anyway, he kicked the door in, and he just says, don't you ever talk to your mom like that again. And I'm standing in the family room going, so Tim's probably going to have to do counseling about that later on when he gets older. And then just a few weeks ago, I mentioned that story, and he doesn't even remember it. So we are not damaging our kids. We may think that we are. And then sometimes we do stuff that probably does, but that's their choice to choose to allow that to happen. But he just didn't even notice it. And I thought that's wonderful. And he also told me the other day that he said he never ever knew that I was a nag because I was saying I used to nag him about this and yell. And he said, I don't ever remember you ever being like that. Well, what a treat that is. So I guess I haven't just screwed up our kids. But anyway, so everything's good. So don't, if you're feeling guilty about any of that stuff, just look at it and understand that it happened as a learning experience for the kids, and they learned from it. So everything's okay. So you're not a terrible parent, and you didn't mess up your kids. Unless I know there is possible you can do that, because if you were really awful, it could probably affect the kids. But then they need to have learned. They need to have that experience so they can, when they get older, say they're not going to allow that to affect them. Anyway, so that's it for this week, and I appreciate that you signed in and you're watching today. And if you can go back to my YouTube channel on non-stop aha moments, so you can see a whole bunch more videos like this. And I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.